We are creating digital worlds, which we can call the metaverse. And I urge you to watch the interview that I did with Pierce Kicks of Delphi Digital about this. And this is the world where everything is digitized. Barry Silbert launched all of this to us really early on when he started talking about Decentraland. Within the digital world, there are 3 million gamers. Those gamers live in an alternative world where they socialize with each other. So when I went to see a friend of mine, my oldest friend Daryl, went to see him at his house, his son Harry was playing, I think it was Fortnite. And I wasn't really aware of this. I knew Fortnite was the biggest game in the world, but I wasn't really sure why Harry on a Saturday would be in a gaming chair with the headphones on Fortnite on a sunny day. And Daryl's like, well, he's been out, he's played football, but now he's socialising with his mates. And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, we used to go to the shopping mall. And he's like, yeah, well, they don't do that now because his friends are spread around. He said they do it online. And for some of you, you're all like, duh, obviously. And to the rest of you watching this, you're going to be, what? So they hang out and talk to each other and play games together and interact and swap things and trade things with each other. Within these games, there is systems of money, tokens, earning a living, everything. And that's one game, and there's many of these games. And these games are becoming interoperable, where they connect with each other, and they're all digital universes. And those digital universes have now money that can start spreading from one to the other, so it can be a base layer. Now, Bitcoin can do that too. But what we're seeing is monetary systems in this digital world where these digital goods have value. I mean, swords in some of these games now have yield curves, because I want to lend my sword to you and you're going to have to pay me for it so you can get the experience of my level in the game. Same with skins. Or renting the ability to play at different levels in games. There's so many variations. But it's not just about gaming, because we're starting to see the rise of education living in these digital verses. We're starting to see income, businesses, real estate, all happening. There are digital architects that are building digital projects that have digital value, real value, that people are paying big money for. So let's go back to that Beeple story. So the guy who bought the Beeple had also bought a bunch of the other Beeple artwork, and he created a token, and he created virtual art galleries, physical digital galleries, which you could visit to see the art in various metaverses. And then he threw a party on the launch of it, where people could go, listen to famous DJs in different worlds at parties, play Easter egg hunts, so you're exploring this world, where you had to cross from one world to another. And then you go to another party and another art gallery, and so on, so forth. That's kind of telling you where this is going. So digital art is trading in a digital gallery with live music, where in some cases millions of people, 20 million people attended in some of these kind of musical events in the digital world, where people are meeting, exchanging value, conversing with each other, communicating, creating communities, earning money. And that is growing at an exponential rate. And most of us don't see it because we're not Gen Z, but Gen Z are in it. Millennials seen this edge of it, but most haven't seen it. And it is coming. And universities and schools, they can all operate in this world. You can now go into a game and play another game from a different multiverse within a game. It's beyond mind-blowing. When you put a VR headset on and an Oculus Rift, and the first thing you come into is that room, you're like, oh my God, I could live in a garage and think I'm living in a beautiful house. And that's just the start of where this is going. These technologies are exponentially growing. More and more people are being absorbed into the digital world. This whole thing is like the discovery of the Americas. There is an entire new world that has enormous potential. It is going to increase global GDP massively. It might even double it because of what is happening. We're not constrained in a digital world by the same constraints of the physical world. In the world of universal basic income, people can earn money within these digital verses, not creating something, but creating something for a digital company in a digital world, earning digital money. You can live in a digital house. but live in your parents' bedroom. I know that makes it sound sad, and it's not supposed to be. And that's just a dystopian version of this, but there's utopian sides of this too. This whole extra world, when I talk about the Bitcoin life raft, it's not just a life raft of Bitcoin, it's everything that we understand from value is moving and being built at a speed that none of us can comprehend. Literally nobody can keep up with what is going on. It is sucking in all of the world's talent, whether it's financial talent, developer talent, philosophical talent, economic talent. Everybody is going into this. So we're creating opportunity to make money and invest at a rate of which has never been seen, I don't think, in human history. I think this is the largest wealth distribution underway that has ever happened. And it's going to happen in such a short space of time, you can't get your head around it. And the reason it's a short space of time is because we really fucking need it, right? Because this other system is destroying itself. But many of us, me included, thought that this moment that we saw in March was going to be the Big Bang. Boom, all over. How does it finish? The end game. There is no end game. The end game is the ongoing destruction and the ongoing migration. We are all migrating across. And I know there's many of you like, Raoul, I wish you'd just talk about dollar yen and, I wish you'd go back to bonds or, traditional macro. This is traditional macro, where it's going. Everything is going here. It's almost irrelevant to talk about the bond market when it's between 2% and 0, when you've got different yields and different assets all going on over here that are fairly priced without the influence of central banks. Why would you get involved? Why care if the dollar goes up 10%? When you can be involved in assets that do this, when they're all on exponential adoption curves and there's new exciting technology. Why bother? Why does it matter? Why does it matter what the price of oil does over the next 9 months? It doesn't. And so that's the realization. That's why so many macro people have moved across. Macro is going to be useful as ever for hedging, because all of this is still beholden to the world of business cycles, even though most business cycles have now been trodden out in terms of asset price effects because of the debasement of currency changing the denominator. But it will still have VAR shocks where everything implodes and goes down because there's too much leverage in the system and the usual bullshit that humans do. What we've just seen with Archegos. It's very common. And macro is great for hedging some of that stuff. But literally, I can't express to you how big this is and the opportunity. So if we look at the traditional macro world, of which I've now highlighted that I think there's a death of macro. I don't think currencies really move. I don't think bond yields really move, and not in terms of secular bet moves where we can make big money by following a career in this shit. That's done. So what does it leave? It leaves equities, okay, and it leaves crypto. And so we're just going to see more money. Yes, we've got commodities as well. Credit, that's pinned to the rate, so that's all gone. Credit's gone. Bonds are gone. Short-term rates are gone. FX trading's gone. I mean, yes, emerging markets are a function of equities and further out the risk curve, but really it's going to force more money and more people to migrate into the source of returns. Now, what's extraordinary is the alpha that this space generates. The alpha is like I've never seen before. Alpha in digital assets, because there's so many of them, they're complicated, everything's going under network effects, that people who are buying tokens who really understand it are generating massive returns at this point in the cycle. It is cyclical. They will have points where they'll lose shit tons of money. But over time, because it's network effect, it doesn't revert to the mean like silver did after 1980. It doesn't work like that. Exponential assets revert to the exponential moving average. So it's always rising, which is what Bitcoin's done all the way through. Facebook's done, Google's done, all of these have done. And so, yes, these tokens, some of them will go to zero, but the whole token space and these guys, they're going to have boom bust cycles and they will keep going up exponentially. There's also the trading firms that trade crypto, algorithm traders, short-term traders, macro guys, everybody. The amount of alpha those guys are generating is unheard of. And it will happen in the down cycle too, because they will capture some of the down cycle. There's money to be made all over this. And every day there are more tokens. And these tokens are complex. So it's hard to trade. So that's even more alpha for the people who figure it out. So this space is going to be ongoing source of alpha for decades. When all real estate's tokenized, and we can trade real estate, when people are tokenized in terms of future careers or job paths or all sorts of paths, from community tokens, when you can trade FC Barcelona against AC Milan community tokens, and you can arbitrage it with something else. I mean, oh my God, you can't get your head around this. So if we look at the traditional asset space, which is dying, you know, equities, bonds, they're all kind of credit, they're all kind of 100, 200, 300 trillion dollar markets. The crypto market is 2 trillion. It's 100x from here. But I think it eats all of those assets over time. So maybe it's 200x. No, it won't be a straight line. But this is the biggest change in financial markets, the system of money and economics and how economies are run in all of history, in the fastest, shortest time it's ever happened. And people are going to be tribal about it. People are going to catch hold of their own narratives to make sense of this world. But this world is unstoppable. It is coming. It will have massive boom-bust cycles. There will be periods of time when you'll lose money and periods of times you'll feel like a god. But that is opportunity. Because in an exponential world, risk doesn't equal reward. Reward massively outsizes risk, as long as you're not stupid about how you invest.